As we count down for the Republican debate, the Republican candidates prepare to take the stage for tonight's Fox News debate in Detroit. It all starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, and there is news developing right now. Secretary Hillary Clinton's email news. The FBI now looking at how sensitive information went from classified systems to Secretary Clinton's private server. Fox News Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge is here. Catherine.
Thank you, Greta. So what we've been able to learn through our contacts is that the FBI is focused on whether Clinton and her aides were sharing passwords. And this is one of the ways that the information from the highly classified secure government systems was able to get into the unclassified email system.
What do you mean sharing passwords?
Okay, so when you log into the computer, you have your own identification and then your own password. So you log in or you give your password information to me, and I log in as you, and then I access the information.
And the allegation is that they're passing around their passwords, so I could sign in as Catherine Herridge, and you could sign in as Greta Van Susteren?
Think of it like a corporation. It's not that uncommon for a CEO to have their assistant on their email to handle the communications. So the theory being that they're sharing the passwords and access. There are a number of ways it can jump the gap, but to keep it real simple, it has to be really a very intentional act. So, for example, summarizing what you've read and putting it into an unclassified email, sitting at a terminal where you're looking at this classified information and then typing sections verbatim. Another option is taking pictures with your phone, even though you're not allowed to have electronics in a secure facility. And the fourth, which I think is not out of the realm of possibility, is that Brian Pagliano, who was granted immunity, he's the IT specialist, he would have administrator privileges and access to the data center at the State Department and could physically move some of the data between the systems.
Catherine, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that is not all for Secretary Clinton. The Department of Justice granting immunity to Brian Pagliano, as Catherine just noted. He is the former Clinton staffer who set up a private server in 2009. Illinois Congressman and member of the House Select Committee in Benghazi, Congressman Peter Roskam, goes on the record. Good evening, sir.
Thanks. Good to be here, Greta.
So what do you make of this immunity?
I think it's serious. I mean, to say the least. This is Secretary Clinton who, throughout this whole adventure, has been in a mode that says deny, 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 and now it's reached a point where a person who is inextricably linked to this data is now given immunity. This is the same person that refused to testify under a subpoena before the Benghazi Select Committee. Now that obstacle has been removed, and I think Secretary Clinton's world is changing.
From my old days of practicing law, if I had a 100% innocent client, but I thought that the Justice Department was, gunning for him or her, I'd do everything I could to get immunity. I mean, immunity just means that you sort of won the game with the prosecution. The prosecution wants the information, and they're just going to have to pay for it with immunity. It might be completely nothing.
It might be completely nothing, or it might be incredibly significant. And I think the concern for Secretary Clinton is it's twofold. Either there's absolutely nothing here, or she's complicit in something that's incredibly serious. Either way, the ability of this individual to speak freely with no fear of prosecution himself, I think, is something that is incredibly significant. And obviously, we're in the context of a highly charged case.
I don't find it unusual to get immunity, because that's what I would always like to get it whenever I could for my client. It suggests to me that the process is a little bit further in investigation than we've originally thought of, because you don't need immunity unless you plan to testify. Otherwise, you don't even have to talk to the prosecutor. But if you serve with a subpoena and you have to testify, then you might need immunity. So I think this may be farther down in terms of investigation, maybe even in grand jury. Now, the Benghazi Committee, when are you guys going to be finished?
We're going to be finished as soon as the work is done, and I know that sounds like a clever little answer, but look, the more witnesses that are interviewed, the more witnesses you need to interview. And so Trey Gowdy, as chairman of the committee, has said we're playing this straight, we're going to do a good job, and the product at the end is going to fulfill the instructions of the House. That is, find out what happened and make recommendations so that it never happens again.
All right. State Department fully cooperating?
No, they've been ridiculous, absurd, and difficult.
Secretary Clinton fully cooperating?
No, of course not.
Her assistants like Huma Abedin, Cheryl Mills, fully cooperative?
Look, they've come in as they've been compelled, in some cases voluntary. But no, this has been a passive-aggressive enterprise par excellence from the very beginning. And the administration has been miserable. And let me underscore that, miserable. A combination of incompetence in terms of their own data, and I would argue malevolence.
Congressman, nice to see you, sir. Thank you.
Good to be with you. Thanks.